Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and today I was craving a Caesar salad and I wanted to share with you how to make the Caesar dressing. This has to be the best Caesar dressing you will ever make or buy. I bought several different kinds in the stores and I cannot top this recipe. It is absolutely delicious. And with just a few ingredients you can make it at home and you know what goes in it because you put it in it. All right, so traditional Caesar dressing uses egg yolks, and a lot of people might not like the fact that you're not processing eggs before you put them in here. So I'm going to show you a different variation today, and you don't have to use the egg yolks, and you'll come out with your perfect Caesar salad. So let's get started. So I've got 3 cloves of garlic. I love garlic. Sometimes I even put 4 cloves in it, but you can definitely cut back on that if you like. I'm going to take the ends off of them because I want to take the skin off the outside. All right, now that we've got the ends off of them, let's take our garlic and just give them a press. Use caution for the blade there and just give it a push down. And that will break it so that the skin comes off of it. And there's no need to chop that up because we're going to be using a blender today. So we've got our garlic. It is ready to go now. So like I said earlier, you don't have to chop it up if you don't want to because we're going to be using a blender. If you don't have a blender, do not use a food processor. I know from experience that did not come out well. So do not use a food processor. Use a blender if you've got one. If you don't have a blender, definitely you can use a mortar pestle and just chop your garlic up really finely there. And then I'll show you what you'll do with the mortar pestle once we get through with that. All right, let's move on to our next ingredient. I've got a lemon here that I've washed. And what I'm gonna do with this today, if you haven't seen my video on how to make my lemon pepper, I always take the lemon peel off of it and peel my lemons down, and I put that into the freezer in a little baggie. And then when I get enough of them, I can dehydrate them and make my lemon pepper. So I'll put the link in the description box below. It is really good and it's so fresh tasting. So I'm going to continue to work on my lemon. I need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I've got my 2 tablespoons of lemon juice now, so I'm going to go ahead and fix my other ingredient here. I've got some Parmesan cheese, and this I always put about a cup in it. So you can do anywhere between a half a cup to a cup. I always put a cup in it. I love the cheese. And what I use the microplaner to grate my cheese because this is going into our liquid mixture for our dressing, and I want this as fine as I can get it. So you can use a microplaner. If you don't have one of these, if you got one of the little box graters, then use the smaller holes on the side of it. That way the cheese, when you grate it up, will be a little bit finer than it would be if you use the bigger holes on the other side. So use the smaller holes on that. I always use fresh cheese when I'm using any kind of things in my food because a lot of the cheeses you get in the store that are in the box that are already pre-shredded have an anti-caking agent on them. And with the dressing, with anything that's wet, I find that the dressing doesn't want to stick to the cheese because it's got that coating on it. So definitely get the fresh and grate it. So I'm going to go ahead and grate my cup of my Parmesan cheese. I wanted to show you how fine this is with this box grater that I'm using here so you can see by looking at that what that looks like. So definitely we want that on the smaller side instead of the larger side. So I'm going to put that in here with my other that I've grated up, and that will give us a cup of our Parmesan cheese. All right, we've got our cheese done now, so we'll go on to one of our other ingredients here. I've got some anchovies, and you can get these in the store. These are just the flat anchovies, and they are in olive oil and salt. So we're going to need between 2 to 3 of these. You can put as much as 4 in them. I put as many as 4 in them. So just be careful with them when you open up that you don't spill any of the oil, and you can see what they look like in the little tin there. So we've got all of our ingredients here. We'll go through these other things as we get ready to put it together. And I wanted to show you the mortar pestle. So with the mortar pestle, with your garlic, once you've got it minced up, you want to take your anchovies and you want to make a paste. So if you don't have the blender, then you can use a mortar pestle and you just take your garlic and your anchovies in there and just make a little paste out of it. And then you can put it into your mixture and mix it up. So if you don't have a blender and you've got one of these, you can do that. If you don't have one of these, you can take the back of a sharp knife and you can take your garlic and your anchovies and just rub them on a hard surface like this, and that should turn it into a nice paste. So definitely there's alternatives to using this or the blender, a hard knife or something that you've got. Just put them on your cutting board and just rub them across the top like that. You want a good paste when you mix those together. So all kind of different ways that you can do different things. All right, I'm going to bring my blender up here, and this is going to come together really quickly. This makes just about a pint of our dressing that we're going to have here today. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting our ingredients in to our bowl here. Like I said, do not use a food processor. Big mistake on that. Liquid, you wouldn't believe how many holes is in a food processor. You wouldn't think that there would be that many on it, but let me tell you, when you start mixing it together, you'll find it real quick. So we've got our blender here, and I'm going to take my yogurt, and what I've got here is I've got a whole milk yogurt, plain. You don't want any flavoring in your yogurt, you want plain. And so I've got a half a cup of my yogurt. Just put that into our blender. In lieu of the egg yolks, we're going to be using mayonnaise. So this is a half a cup of mayonnaise, and we're just going to put that right into the blender as well. We've got our 2 tablespoons of our lemon juice. We'll add that in. I'm just going to put my garlic in just like this. Got 3 cloves of garlic in it. Now my anchovies, I'm going to get out about 4 of these because I really like them in it. And you can see what they look like when they come out of the little tin. So we're going to get 4 of those out. All right, now that we've got our anchovies in, I want some Worcestershire sauce. I want 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire. I've cleaned my spoon off. I want 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, or you can use stone ground mustard. This is what I have here today. So I want 1 teaspoon of this. Now that we've got our Dijon mustard, or stone ground mustard in my case today, we'll add in our Parmesan cheese. We've got 1 cup of that. Now we're going to put in just a little bit of salt and pepper. We'll grate up just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And that is it. Let's put our blender top on it. And we're going to give this a blend for about a minute. We'll take a look at it and see what it does. That was about 30 seconds. And I wanted to take my spatula here and run down the side just to make sure we get everything incorporated into our mixture. Well, we've got everything pushed back down into our mixture. Let's put our lid back on it and continue processing for that minute. All right, that was a minute. Let's take a look at it. We'll get our spatula here and run it down in it to see what it looks like, our consistency is. To see what the consistency is, you can see it's nice we've got there. You can push it back down there again. A minute did the trick. You might want to look at it at 30 seconds. It doesn't go very far. If you minced up your garlic before you put it in there, you wouldn't have to mix it up as long as I did. Because I put those in whole, you definitely want to make sure that those get minced up pretty good because you don't want big chunks of garlic in your mixture. So that is what that looks like. This smells incredible, that garlic smell coming through there. I'm going to take this now and I'm going to transfer it to my pint jar. I'm going to be really careful when you remove these blades on these blenders because they're really sharp. Put that out of the way. This is a little pint jar that I've got here in this little lid. I really like these storage lids instead of having to use your metal rings and tops on those and waste those. These you can get. I'll see if I can find a link and put that in the description box below. These are really nice. They come in the wide mouth and then the regular mouth lids for the jars and things. So let's go ahead and transfer this over and I'll let you see what that looks like. We definitely, if there's any of it left in there, we'll take our spatula out and run it down the sides because we want every bit of that out of there. We don't want any of that to go to waste. We've got our Caesar dressing in our container now, so we'll set everything to the side. And you can take a look at that, see what that looks like. That makes just about a pint of that. Now that we've got our mixture transferred to our container here, this is where you want to test it to see if you need to add any more salt and pepper to it. So you can just add it right into it and just give it a shake up in this container. Pint of that, and we'll take the lid and we'll put it on it. You want to put it in the refrigerator if you're going to be having your salad about 30 minutes to an hour. It'll kind of bring it back a little bit thicker than what it is now. You'll have a nice Caesar dressing to go with that Caesar salad. So I hope this has inspired you to try this Caesar salad dressing. It smells incredible and it is delicious. And if you like this content, maybe you might consider giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you like this one, maybe you might want to check out one of these other 2 videos over here. You might find something else you'll like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.